President Joe Biden, what really went on when he met Her Majesty the Queen earlier this year in England? Hi, good morning, Neil Sean here in the heart of London. Thank you for joining me. And as ever, the story that's breaking out of London today is really one that we kind of like to describe here in England as the missing president. Nobody seems to know exactly when Joe Biden's ever going to pop up and do anything. Now, whether you liked the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, or not, there was no denying he was good for news. He popped up on Twitter, social media, across every network going. If he had an opinion or a thought, you certainly knew about it. But Joe Biden, of course, recently became the President of the United States at the start of this year when he was inaugurated. And then he quickly had a meeting with Her Majesty the Queen at the G7 summit when he came over for that particular event. A lot of people, though, wanted to know, what did Her Majesty the Queen think of Joe Biden? Well, what we can tell you first on the show is, and this may shock quite a few people, Her Majesty the Queen actually quite liked the former President, Donald Trump. Now, do you remember when he was asked to inspect the guard in Windsor and he kept walking in front of Her Majesty the Queen and she basically had to direct him on where he should be stood, where he should be going? Remember that sort of thing? That really did make Her Majesty chuckle when she watched the film back. And he was very gracious, kind, and gave her a wonderful gift. Now, I'm not one to pour scorn on anybody's visit, but allegedly, one of the things that really displeased Her Majesty the Queen, and it would apply to any girl of any age, is this. When President Joe Biden met with Her Majesty, one of the golden rules that you don't do when you have a private audience with the Queen is to discuss the conversation. This happened recently with our very own Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. He made another faux pas, one of many, as he discussed a conversation with her. That's simply a no-no. But the bigger problem for Joe Biden was this. He said, yes, I thoroughly enjoyed meeting Her Majesty the Queen. She reminded me a lot of my mother. Right, I'll let that sink in, girls. Now, Her Majesty the Queen may be 95, but one of the best looking 95-year-old girls I've ever seen up close. And Joe Biden's no spring chicken himself. So it's a sort of side backhanded insult, really. Now, a lot of people in Windsor and courtiers around Her Majesty brushed it off. But let's just say, if Mr. Biden was meeting a former Queen, perhaps Queen Victoria, famously, she may not have been amused. For now, we'll just leave it there at that and hope at some point President Biden redeems himself on many levels. Neil Sean in the heart of London.